everyone, I'm Allie from 2023 and today I'm going to be summarizing John chapter 4 verses 1 to 45 using C.O.M.A. Let's start off with context. In chapter 3 we saw three things happen. Jesus was talking with Nicodemus, John's disciples and a Jew were talking about Jesus and his disciples baptizing others, and John started talking about his views and opinions on that. Now on to the O. There are quite a few things that you can see happening in these few verses, and I'm just going to list a few. Jesus wasn't the one baptizing. He had to go to Samaria. He was worn out from his journey. The woman also doesn't understand, just like Nicodemus. Those who drink of the living water never thirst again. Worship in spirit and truth. The woman was really excited to go tell the other people in her town. And in verse 42, the people were talking about how they no longer believed by what the woman had said, but because they experienced it themselves. Meaning... I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about what each of those points mean. Point 1, Jesus wasn't the one baptizing. I think that this is important because it almost shows that he's training his disciples, just like he trains us. Number 2, he had to go to Samaria. There was a map that I saw that actually showed that everybody would go around Samaria just so that they didn't have to encounter that, which meant that Jesus didn't have to go through Samaria to get to the place he was going to, but instead had to go in order to have that encounter with this woman. 3, he was worn out from his journey. This basically just shows that he's 100% man. Number 4, the woman also doesn't understand, just like Nicodemus doesn't. And this shows that us as Christians, we're a lot more used to words such as sin, redemption, salvation, and it can be quite confusing for those who do not regularly hear those words. Number 5, those who drink of the water are satisfied. It means that we can only find satisfaction in living water, which is Jesus. Number 6, so I had to look this one up. It's worship in spirit and truth, because the two words, spirit and truth, they both have different meanings in worship. When it talks about worshiping by the Spirit, it's talking about being sincere, it's talking about not being afraid of emotions, it's worshiping out of our love for God, it's worshiping out of our gratitude. But truth is worshiping not just what makes you feel good, it's worshiping the God of the Scripture. It's not worshiping a God who gives us everything we want. And doing both of them together in worship means that you worship the truth while also still being sincere and doing it with your heart for your love of God. Number 7, the woman was really excited to go tell the other people in the town, which just shows that Jesus is something that we shouldn't take for granted. God's Son being sent down to earth to die for us just shows how much he loves us, but also how much we are broken. And so that's something that we should be excited to tell others, is that there's hope. And number 8, in verse 42, when it talks about they no longer believe because of what she said, but because of what they saw, just shows that you can never really believe until you've experienced Jesus. To application, I have 4 application points for us. Some of them we talked about in the first application point. Like I said, we can tell people about Jesus, but until they experience it themselves, they won't believe. We can plant seeds in others, but only Jesus is the one who makes it grow. He's the one who is able to have the tree grow at just the right time. The second point is we need to be patient. When people don't understand, we often get really mad and we're like, what don't you understand about this? It's easy. But we have to remember that they might not have the same knowledge, they might not have the same background as we have. And so we need to approach it like Jesus did. We need to be patient. Third application point is that you will never truly be satisfied until you trust in Jesus, until you take a sip of the living water. And that's trusting in him no matter what. That's believing in him first of all, and then trusting in him. And you can look for satisfaction anywhere else and you're not going to receive it. The last couple points is that we should worship in spirit and truth. We should worship with both of them, not just worshiping with spirit, but also worshiping with truth, worshiping the true God and worshiping with our hearts set on him. And the last thing is that you should feel so excited to tell others about Jesus, because they can then experience the same hope that we have. So I really hope that you guys learned something with this summary. I know it was short and I'd love to have gone through it because I have so many more things that I've learned.